Greetings. This is the one you've known as Jesus the Christ. Navigating is a perfect word to describe the way the hero or heroine, that is, someone who's living as his or her best self or true self, moves through challenges, because when you navigate a car or boat or some other vehicle, you take each moment, each twist and turn, one at a time. You're traveling on the road or on the water, 1 mile or stroke of the paddle at a time. You are right there in the present moment, without a past or future, just taking it as it comes. Where you've come from has disappeared from view, and you don't know what the path ahead or your destination will be. The only thing that's real is what you're experiencing right now. Human beings are built to do a very interesting thing. They carry around a mental picture of the past and future in the midst of their present moment experience. People create stories in their minds using the imaginary past and future, and even their imaginary ideas about the present, and call this reality. They believe this imaginary or illusory reality is reality. This is the faulty map, and it gets people into trouble, into suffering. The real map is whatever's happening now, and now, and now. Every step of the journey is the map. Each step reveals or points to the next step. Like a tracker in the forest, the hero must follow the tracks and signs he comes across that point the way. Only then is the path revealed. The hero has to remain vigilant and present to the clues the present moment provides, or he'll get lost. The mind might think it knows which way to go, but it can never really know this, any more than the tracker's mind can. It isn't the mind's place to know such things. How can it? The mind is essentially a computer that processes information. How to live, how to be happy, and how to fulfill your unique destiny are not things the computer mind can know. It can tell you how many miles are left on a trip, but it can't tell you how to be the hero of your life. That's fine, because you've been given something else to show you the way. The Father provides you with not only the qualities of the hero, but also a means of guiding you and communicating with you. You are truly loved and cared for on this adventure. To make sure you don't lose your way, you've been given a very simple guidance system that says yes or no to various possibilities. This yes-no guidance is like the hot and cold game you used to play as children, where a player is guided by others shouting, "You're cold," "You're getting warmer," "You're hot." You can tell whether a course of action is on course or off course simply by noticing how you feel energetically when considering a possibility. A contracted feeling is a no, while an expanded, joyful, excited feeling is a yes. This is as simple a guidance system as can be, but you have to use it. Just as your GPS won't get you where you want to go if you don't use it, if you don't consult or trust this inborn GPS, it can't take you where you're meant to go. This simple yes-no guidance system is often overridden by the mind, which is always ready with a plan for what to do, when, and how. However, the mind's plan is based on conditioning and stored information, not on reality, as the internal guidance system you've been given is. Ideas and information are fine and useful at times, they just aren't enough to guide your life. The information stored in your computer mind is like having half a map, which is not much good, and yet it still seems like a map. If you insist on using a partial map of reality, you'll only get so far. The directions from the thought stream are like that. They take you somewhere, but not necessarily where you really want to go. The thought stream only takes you where your ego or conditioning wants you to go. The trouble is that people assume the thought stream is something wiser than that. If people believed there was another more trustworthy guidance system, they'd use the mind only for what the mind is meant for, providing information and analysis along the way, and leave the along the way up to something wiser, the heart, which is the seat of the divine self in the body. Many have called this inborn guidance system the heart because the expansion and contraction of this yes-no guidance system is usually felt in the chest area. This is a clue to differentiating the ego's guidance from the heart's. The guidance occurs in very different parts of the body. If the guidance shows up as a thought, then it's likely from the ego. If it shows up as an energetic expansion or a contraction or a download of knowing, then it's from the true guidance system. For most people, the distinction is pretty clear, but often their mind or other people's minds talk them out of believing their true guidance system. Minds have a way of sounding very convincing. When things go badly as a result of following the ego's guidance, people often blame God when the Father had a better plan in mind for them all along. This is not to say that there aren't challenges even when you follow the true guidance system, but those challenges will be specifically designed for your growth, not just to get you back on track. When you're off course, life erects roadblocks to get you to change course. These roadblocks can be quite painful, and they're meant to be, because they're telling you what you think you want or what you think you should do is not what you need. Follow your heart. Suffering is meant to point you in a different direction and get you to ask, what do I really want? It's meant to get you to follow your joy, not your thoughts. The only things that make following your joy difficult are your ideas and fears and other people's. And yet, what are ideas and fears? They're a faulty map of reality, a map of an imaginary reality. People are often so sure they know what the right thing to do is and how that will turn out, but they don't. No one does. Everyone is driving blind in this life. No one knows anything until they do. To pretend that you know is to put your faith in a faulty map. The hero is willing to drive blind with no other map but reality, the present moment. The guidance system the hero follows is joy, which is felt as a yes to moving a certain way in the moment. What am I feeling moved to do now? And now? And now? This sounds highly impractical to the mind, but it isn't at all. Following the mind's instructions moment to moment as most people do is no more practical. Do this now, then do that, then you should do that, commands the voice in your head. How does that voice come up with those instructions? It deduces them from the programming. The hero does what's in front of him to do, naturally and fluidly. When a challenge arises, the hero still does whatever's in front of him to do. Challenging times are not lived any differently than easy ones. Both call for the same equanimity and straightforward, rational action needed in the moment. When you live this way, challenges are not necessarily so challenging. What makes a situation more challenging than it needs to be are the fears and ideas about what that difficulty is assumed to mean. I'll never find love again. I'll be homeless. I'll die. I won't be able to cope. I won't be happy. The hero doesn't fall prey to such stories about what might happen. These are imaginations and only waste and scatter one's energy, just when energy and focus are most needed. The hero has the discipline and inner strength to refrain from such negative stories. He knows there is never a time when negative thoughts are useful. In difficult times, steering clear of negative thoughts is essential. During such times, many discover the importance of staying positive, and they learn to practice being positive because they recognize that doing otherwise would be to sink the ship. Staying afloat in hard times requires the buoy of hope. Hope gives courage and makes it possible to cope. When you lose hope, you lose courage and the ability to cope. You become discouraged. Discouragement lasts only as long as you believe a negative thought, while courage, because it's a quality of your true nature, is everlasting. As soon as a discouraging thought is dropped, your innate courage shines through. What a gift courage is! It isn't something you have to develop, but what naturally arises when you stop believing your thoughts. Hope is another gift from the Father. It's built into the human to have hope even under the direst of circumstances. Hope springs eternal expresses this truth. Within you is a wellspring of hope, and love and peace and joy. Hope rises up in difficult times to support you and counteract the discouragement, despair, and hopelessness of the ego when it feels most powerless. When the ego doesn't get what it wants, or when you lose something or someone dear to you, the ego falls into despair and other negative emotions. It feels powerless and defeated. But these feelings, however real they may seem, are never the truth. They are the false map. They are telling you lies. You'll never be happy again. This is too much to handle. Your life is over. Nothing will ever be right again. The beauty of this life you've been given is that none of your negative feelings tell the truth, while the positive ones, hope, peace, joy, and love, do. You're meant to discover this truth about life. Negative feelings are a mirage created by the mind. Hope is the truth, because things are always changing and moving on to something new. With every death or loss come many new beginnings, new births. Life is unstoppably producing more life. It can't help itself. And the qualities of the hero, including happiness, love, and peace, are always available, no matter what the circumstances. You are always strong enough to cope with whatever happens in life. You only need to realize this. Not only do things naturally move on to something new, but you're likely to have become a better human being for having gone through the fire of your trials. You are bound to have become stronger, more positive, and better able to cope with any future difficulties. Challenges transform you into the hero that each of you is meant to be. You are meant to come away from a challenge with greater wisdom, patience, compassion, endurance, inner strength, and a greater capacity to refrain from negative emotions and stories. If you don't learn these things, you'll continue to suffer even after the difficult situation is over. The remaining bitterness, resentment, sadness, and other unpleasant emotions become your next challenge until you overcome them. If you don't master these feelings, they'll be the master of you, and you'll have little peace and happiness. If you don't turn your lemons into lemonade, you'll be stuck with lemons, stuck in a challenge of your own making. I am here to help you make lemonade. Thank you for being here. I am with you always.